Good morning and happy Tuesday from the Environmental Learning Centers of Connecticut. My name is Lauren Pryor and we're here on the Indian Rock Nature Preserve, right by our 10-acre lake, Indian Lake. We're certainly starting to really get our sights and sounds of spring on the preserve. The skunk cabbage is starting to really pop up. The fiddleheads for the ferns are starting to break through. And of course, many of our songbirds and some of our migratory waterfowl have started to return back to the property. Here we have some of the fiddleheads, our ferns starting to pop through. So kind of good timing for this week. On Thursday, we have Earth Day. Thursday is Earth Day. So we're getting into spring full blast on the preserve. And for Earth Day, coming up on Thursday, we're not going to be able to have a Facebook Live on Thursday. So we're going to talk about it today on Tuesday. We're going to keep talking about one of our Leave No Trace principles and something that Leave No Trace is doing this week for Earth Day. And that is one of our principles, which is principle number 4. There are 7 Leave No Trace principles that you can kind of integrate into your outdoor activities, whether you're walking or hiking or camping or doing a long backpacking trip or cycling or rock climbing or whatever outdoor activity you're doing. You can implement the Leave No Trace principles to minimize your environmental impact while you're enjoying those spaces, like our lake here. So principle number 4, there's 7 principles. Principle number 4 is leaving what you find. So the other 6 have to do with being prepared for your outdoor activity, traveling on durable surfaces, camping on durable surfaces, respecting wildlife, minimizing fire impacts, respecting other people, minimizing waste. So principle number 4 has to do with leaving what you find. So when we talk about, let's flip the camera here, environmental areas, like here we've got our lake, we've got a nice mixed forest here on the Indian Rock Nature Preserve. When we think about leaving what you find, it's respecting that area safely, enjoyably, and then kind of leaving it as pristine as you can so future visitors can also enjoy that space. So we'll take a little walk down into our little swampy section here next to the lake. We've got a ton of mountain laurel. Mountain laurel stays green all year round. We've got the skunk cabbage starting to really shoot their leaves up, so they're no longer the little purple green egg-shaped spades. Now they're starting to shoot their leaves up. They're gonna get about 3 to 4 feet tall. But if we take a quick step in, when we're thinking about areas where we can frequently visit for an outdoor activity, we think of pristine areas, so areas that have not been frequently visited, areas that are not interacted with by people, or we have areas of high traffic, which might be like your nature center trails. And of course, speaking of nature centers, we have the Barnes Nature Center. The Barnes Nature Center building is closed right now. We have plans to open up the building soon. But even if the building's closed, the trails are open sunrise to sunset 7 days a week. So even if you're enjoying those outdoor spaces, whether you're in a pristine area somewhere where there's no evidence of people, or whether you're in a very high trafficked area, we can start to implement the idea of leaving what you find. So leave no trace principle number 4. And what that is if we, for example, if we think back to camping on durable surfaces, we can think, well, good campsites are found, not made, so you're not moving, like example here on the floor, we've got pine cones and down sticks. and trees in the way, so we wouldn't be moving any of this out of our way. We kind of work around it. Right, we can imagine kind of if we have a historic site, right, if we take something away from that historic site, then other people aren't going to be able to see it. Leaving what you find is also good for packing out what you pack in. So any of your trash, right, we don't leave trash behind. We've got a nice little moth there. Here we've got a nice snag, a standing dead tree, kind of really deep in the throes of decomposition with all the insect activity. So for something like this, leaving what you find the way you find it, I wouldn't take a knife or any nails and carve my name into it. Okay, we especially wouldn't do that on, say, a living tree. For a variety of reasons. One, that damages the bark of the tree, which helps protect the inside of the tree. And that scar that you make is going to get larger over time, and it's unsightly. Right? So it might kind of disrupt the viewing kind of pleasantries of people to come. So with Earth Day being on Thursday, this week we're not going to be able to have a Facebook Live this Thursday, but we'll be back in a week on next Tuesday. But since Earth Day is Thursday, but we're not going to be here on Thursday, we can kind of implement it today. Leave No Trace is having a Leave No Trash challenge for those who are kind of enjoying their outdoor activities this time of year. So when you go outside and you're enjoying your outdoor space, whether it's in your own backyard or it's your town park or your nature center or a national park or state forest, whatever it may be, that outdoor space, one, pack out what you pack in, so don't leave behind any trash, food trash or dog waste. A lot of times we see dog waste. We want to pack that out too. That has a lot of hazards that go along with it. But we can also kind of be the responsible party and pick up other people's trash that they may have left behind. So it's a good idea to always kind of travel with a trash bag and pick up what does not belong there. Here's we're at the end of our nice little boardwalk here, our Delta dock. Look at that trash. So we'll pick that up and we'll take that out with us as we go. But our nice at the end of our Delta dock, we have a little nice mallard in the back. Male mallard with that shiny green head. We do have 2 pairs here on the lake. We also have some wood ducks and the buffleheads. But in our area here, we're in a nice little cattail area. Really silty, mucky, this is where our inlet is. So we get a lot of water flow in this area. But a lot of times we think about leaving what we find. So when we have wildlife, okay, so our mallard duck, for example, having that stereotypical quacking noise. If we're taking away from this habitat, we need to start thinking, well, how does that impact the wildlife that lives here? If we're taking away plants or flowers that might look pretty to us, well, if we think, oh, I can take 1 or 2 flowers, that's not a big deal. But, that stereotypical phrase that we hear a lot of, well, if everyone takes 1 or 2 flowers, then it makes a bigger impact. Or plants, and that's how animals lose their food resources, or how birds might lose their resource to make their nests, especially now in spring. So the idea of leaving what you find, that principle number 4, leaving what you find, is just ensuring that the wildlife have their resources for the times to come, and that also when people come to visit next, they can enjoy the space just as much as you enjoyed the space. So we will take that little piece of trash with us as we go that we just found. There's some string tied to this tree here. We'll have to come back out with some scissors to cut it off. But the Leave No Trace challenge that they're implementing, they're challenging you to leave no trash for Earth Day. That is this Thursday. So you can go out on your green space that you like, collect trash, and then you're going to take a picture of yourself with the hashtag Leave No Trash, and that will go to Leave No Trace. And it's kind of a national challenge that they're kind of implementing today for Earth Week. Some of the birds might be a little bit hard to hear over the live stream, but in the distance we've got the red-winged blackbird calling. Particularly a male. The males arrive up in the kind of the marshy areas kind of early spring ahead of the females to establish their territories, and then the females will come up. So they especially like to hang out in this thick, in the cattails and in the mountain laurel. As you're enjoying your outdoor space, remember, you can always kind of implement principle number 2, which is traveling on durable surfaces, especially when you're in kind of a not so highly trafficked area. So, right, we're walking on the boardwalk. Which also ties in together with leave what you find, the principle number 4, as we're not trampling fragile plants, flowers, or the vegetation that's here that might be a little bit more less likely to bounce back if it is trampled over. We can get a close-up look at our skunk cabbage that's really starting to pop up. Skunk cabbage, of course, so named because if you do break the leaf, which we wouldn't want to do because we're leaving it how we found it, we'll start to emit that really stinky skunk smell. So all in all, when you're enjoying those outdoor activities, no matter what you're doing outside, remember, Leave No Trace is just all about minimizing your environmental impact a little bit at a time. So when we're thinking all 7 principles, you can think, how am I going to be prepared for this area? What things do I have to be aware of? Principle number 2, traveling on durable surfaces, camping on durable surfaces. 3, disposing of waste properly, solid waste, human waste, animal waste, your dog's waste, and garbage. 4, leaving what you find so you can enjoy it in its pristine condition and others can enjoy it too in the future. 5, minimizing fire impacts, which we haven't talked about yet, but we will next week if the fire hazard is deemed low enough to have a fire. 6, respecting wildlife, and then 7, being courteous to others while you're enjoying that outdoor space. So, of course, for Earth Day, just one more time to reiterate, Leave No Trace is doing a Leave No Trash challenge, so you can enjoy your outdoor space, collect trash, take a picture of yourself, and do the hashtag Leave No Trash. So that's the challenge that Leave No Trace is implementing this week for Earth Day. Like I mentioned before, we're not going to have a Facebook Live on this Thursday, but we will have a Facebook Live next Tuesday. We'll be back next Tuesday on the Environmental Learning Centers of Connecticut Facebook page at 10 a.m. So be sure to tune in. We'll be talking about minimizing fire impacts, which is our last Leave No Trace principle that we're going to be talking about on Facebook Live. But thanks for joining me a little bit today, taking a little bit out of your morning to learn about our Leave No Trace principles. Just a little bit you can do each time you go outside to minimize your environmental impact. But thanks for joining us this morning, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m.